Hey guys, so today what I wanted to do is go ahead and film the first in our C2C Catghan that we're going to be working on. This is PeekAMew, and so we're going to need 5 different colors. We need white, gray, pink for the nose, black for the eyes, and an aquamarine blue shade for the background. Okay, so what I've done already is gone ahead and wound some bobbins. And this is really helpful when you're flipping your work in keeping it clipped before you flip, so that way you don't tangle all the yarn up. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so if you're following based off of the graph, you're going to start going down in this corner square here, this white square, and then on the second row you'll go back up, third row you'll go down, fourth row you'll go back up, etc. And you can cross off the squares as you go, or you can follow the pattern, which I've also provided. So row 1 is W, so you're going to do 1 white square. Okay, so what you want to do is go ahead and start with your slip knot on your hook. Okay, leave the tail alone and go ahead and chain 5 with working yarn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you're going to go ahead and double crochet in the third chain from the hook. So you yarn over, you go into the third chain from the hook, and yarn over, pull forward, yarn over again, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, and pull through another 2 loops. And you're going to do that same thing in the last 2 chains. That'll create 3 double crochets, which is going to give you your first square, row 1. Okay? So it's a slip knot, so you should be able to pull it. Okay, so that gives us square 1, which was 1 white. So row 2 is going to be W2, which is white 2 squares. Okay, you're going to be building above this square and to the side of the square. So what you want to do is go ahead and chain another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, you're going to do the same thing you did before. So double crochet in the third chain from the hook. And then the next 2 chains. Okay. What you'll end up with right now are 2 squares, and they kind of look like a pair of pants, but what you're going to do is, this is your tail, you're going to flip the first square up, okay, so that it's right next to your working yarn here. You're going to go in through, there's a wiggle space here. There's this little wiggle space between 2 of the stitches, 2 of the row stitches, okay? And you're going to go in through there, yarn over in the back, pull forward, and then pull through that last loop, okay? So you're doing a slip stitch, right, to connect the 2 squares. So there's your first square. You've built 1 square, now you need to build the second square in row 2. So you're going to go ahead and chain 2, and now you're going to double crochet 3 times into that little same space that you did your slip stitch. Okay, so now what you have is you have row 1 and row 2. Remember, you're working from corner to corner, so you're working from one corner of the square to the other. So now you've got row 1 and row 2. Now we're going to go back and work row 3, which will have 3 squares. So you're going to go ahead and chain 5, okay, and double crochet in the third chain from the hook, and double crochet in the next 2 chains, okay, to get back to where row 2 ended. Okay, again, they're not connected in any way, so what you're going to do is you're going to flip, you're now row 1 and 2, you're going to flip that up so that it's right next to your working yarn, and you're going to go ahead and go in through that little wiggle space there at the top of the square from row 2. Go to the back, yarn over, pull forward, and then pull through that last loop. So now you've connected them, they're all together now, and you've made this L shape. So now you're going to build the next square on top of this middle square here by chaining 2 and then doing another 3 double crochets into that same space that you did your slip stitch, and that's what's creating your squares. Okay, so now you've got this next square. Now you're going to jump up the ladder up here. You're going to jump up into that wiggle space, do your slip stitch, do your chain 2, and do your 3 double crochets into that same space that you did your slip stitch. Okay. So now let's go ahead and look at what we have. So we've got row 1, which was W. Row 2 is W2, 1, 2. Row 3 is W3, so 1, 2, 3. So now we're going to go ahead and continue on. I'm going to get you up to row, let's see, we're going to go up to finish row 8, okay? Those are all going to be just plain white. That's all you need to do. Just continue the pattern by increasing on the ends until you get to row 9, which is where we're going to be starting back up again, okay? Okay, so what we've done is we've done up to row 8. We've finished row 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so now what you need to do is you're still increasing, but the first part of row 9 is A, which is the aquamarine color. So we need to attach the new color, and then we're going to be continuing on with white. So this is what I would suggest doing. Okay, grab your aqua color. Okay, now you need to chain 5 because we're building up. So go ahead and get the yarn around your hook and do your chain. You're just going to pull it through that loop and pull that loop really tight, that white loop, so it kind of tucks down in. And now continue on using your blue. So you're going to go ahead and chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're going to go ahead and double crochet in the 3rd chain down from the hook. And the reason I don't use the white chain that you create when you attach the aqua color is because I don't want to have any of the white showing on my blue square, so I want to just keep that all tucked in and keep it separate from the blue, so it doesn't look like you've woven it partially into the blue square, if that makes sense. So as you can see, we've got now 1 blue square and the rest are white, and we need to do our flip, so we're going to flip it up again. So normally you would go from the front to the back and you would pick up the yarn. But when you do that, you're going to end up seeing a line of yarn. So this is to make it more clean, okay? So bring your yarn to the front of your work. Go from the back to the front where you've got your yarn. Again, you're going to yarn over, pull the yarn to the back, and again through that blue loop, okay, and pull tight. You always want to pull tight so that you don't have loose stitches and they all stay together really well. Okay, and you don't see that line because by pulling it forward you've almost broken up the line, and so it looks more like the rest of the stitching. So now go ahead and do your chain 2 and double crochet 3 times into the prior row's square using the white. Okay, and the rest of this row is all white. So I will meet you back up when we get to the end of this row. So we've just finished row 9. We have not chained yet to get to row 10. So what we want to do is we look at our pattern. Row 10 is W9 and then A. So you're going to continue going back up with the white and then you're going to end with the aqua color. So what you want to do is go ahead and do your chain 5 and your double crochets in the 3rd chain from the hook and in the last 2 chains. And what I want to show you is why I think bobbins are nice. So normally what you do is you would flip your work up and you can see it's going to start tangling my yarn. So this is what the bobbin is for. You just clip it to your work, and you can keep the one that you're working with unclipped, but clip all the other ones as you go to your work before you do the flipping up. And that way, your yarns don't get tangled up. Okay, and then let's work up till we get to the aqua color, and then we'll do another color change. And we're going to go ahead and change back to the aqua color so that we can do the last square of row 10. And so what you want to do is the yarn is currently in the front. And remember, as I said, for color changes, I like to go from back to front. But because the yarn is already in the front, you want to basically flip it to whatever the opposite is, so that way you're not getting a big line across your work. Okay, because if I went in from the back to the front now, there would be a line in the front of my work. So I'm going to go ahead and push it to the back. With my hook, I'm going to go from the back to the front. Oops. Okay, and then I'm going to yarn over from the back, pull it through, but you can see you're going in between the yarn that you pulled to the back and the front. Okay, and then you're going to pull it again through. So what you're doing by doing it this way is you're making it so that you don't see the line. You can imagine you're almost twisting them around each other so it looks more like the stitch and you don't have that jumping line. Okay, let's do that again, just so that I know that we're all on the same page here. Okay, so get your yarn on your white hook. Again, so we pull our stitch tight so that we don't have any loose edges here. You're going to pull the yarn from the front to the back. We're still working from the back to the front with our hook because we're doing a color change. So now you're going to pull the yarn that's in the back already, or in the back still, I should say, and we're going to yarn it over the hook, pull it to the back, okay, and then we're going to go ahead and pull that through the white, pull the white tight, pull the blue tight, and as you can see, you don't see the line in the front, and you don't see a line in the back. So it's a very clean way of color changing. Okay, so now that we've connected the blue and we've let the white go, we're going to go ahead and do our chain 2, and we are going to do 3 double crochets. Now since we did that, it sometimes will pull that top loop that you go through when you're doing your 3 double crochets, it pulls it towards the back a little bit, so you may have to pick it back up. So as you can see, it's a little bit hanging off the edge here. It's hanging over. So you just know that, and then you go in. You still can work into it the same. It pulls it back forward, but sometimes it does that when you pull your stitches tight. Okay, we're doing our 3 double crochets. Okay, so now we've done and finished row 10. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and start row 11. Row 11 has more color changes, so let's do this one together, okay? So go ahead and chain 5. Do your double crochets into the 3rd chain from the hook and in the next 2 chains. We're still working with the blue aqua color. Okay. And because I'm going to have to flip, I'm going to go ahead and wind up my white and clip it to my work so we don't get discombobulated here. Okay, now I'm going to flip my work, flip it up. Okay, we're still going to be using the aqua color, so it's A2. So let's do one more square, and once you've flipped your work, you can unpin your bobbins. Let's get them out of the way. So we're going to do one more blue square here. So we did our slip stitch, chain 2, and 3 double crochets in that same space that you used for your slip stitch. Okay. Okay, so now we need to do W3. So we're going to do 3 whites. So I'm picking up my white yarn, I'm letting my blue yarn go, picking up my white yarn, which is in the front. We're going to do the same thing. Bring the yarn to the back, bring our hook in from the back to the front, and then our yarn back over the hook in the front and pull that through to the back and then through the last loop, which is the blue loop. Okay? Again, we don't have a line in the back, we don't have a line in the front. It looks very clean. It's a nice clean color change. So now we can do our chain 2 and do our 3 double crochets using the white. Okay, and again, we're doing the white for this row. We're going to do the white for 3 times, 3 squares. So there's 1. Now, since we're with the same color, I'm going in through the front to the back and doing the slip stitch, chain 2, and continuing on. So now we've done 3 white squares. So the next part of the pattern is G2, so we need to get our gray bobbin. Okay, so I've got the gray. Okay, get yourself a decent sized length here. Okay, so I'm going to go in. So now we're attaching a new piece of yarn. So I'm going to go in from the back to the front. Make yourself a tail and a little loop here. Pull that through to the back and through your white so that you only have the gray left. What I like to do is I like to work the tail in between the 3 double crochets just to start it off, and then later we'll weave in that end, and that just really secures it in because there's no knots. So go ahead and do your chain 2 and 3 double crochets, making sure to keep that tail in the middle. So you're working around the tail, in other words. Okay, once you've done that, you just pull the tail a little bit, put it towards the back so you're not having to work around it, and continue on. So we're going to do 1 more of the gray. And what some people do is they'll actually carry the, like for instance, we're going to be needing white after this, so they would have carried the white through these stitches, and sometimes I do that, sometimes it works well, sometimes you can see the jump from the yarn being in between, like we did with the tail, and then when you need to jump it up higher, you can sometimes see that thread, and so it doesn't look as clean. So whenever possible, I create another bobbin, and I will just attach a new yarn. Okay, so now that we've done our 2 grays, we're going to do 3 whites. So we're going to make our loop again. We're going to go in through the back, put our loop around our hook, pull it towards the back, and then through that gray loop, pull the gray yarn tight, keep them nice and tight. Okay, now we're going to work around the tail again. So we're going to do our chain 2 and our 3 double crochets around the white tail to make our first square. Okay, so I'm pulling my tail and tucking it to the back. And now you're going to go ahead and do 2 more white squares. Okay, so we've done our 3 whites, and our last one is another aqua color. Now, because you're working the cat's face and you're going to be surrounding it by aqua, you need another aqua bobbin. So grab another aqua bobbin. Okay, and these bobbins you can get from the dollar store. They're actually large clothespins, and you can get them in the clothespin area. And that's awesome. You get 6 of them for $1. So I just stock up. So go ahead and make your loop. You're coming in from the back to the front again because you're doing a color change. Okay, pull it through those loops. Drop the tail. Now do your chain 2 and your double crochets, 3 of them around the tail. Okay, missed a couple. All right, so we've got our aqua square. So now we're starting to create that border around the cat's face. Okay, so we've done up through row 11. We're going to go ahead and start row 12. This row is going to have one pink square for the nose, so make sure you have your pink bobbin handy. Okay, so remember how I said that bobbins are awesome, and the reason is because it makes flipping your work so much easier? Well, this is why, and this is nothing. Just wait until you get to the solar system cat. There's going to be a lot of color changes. Okay, so go ahead and pin all of your bobbins before we flip, because we're going to be flipping here in a second. Okay, so I like to wind up the yarn much as possible. And again, you don't have to do the last one because that's the one you're working on. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do 2 of the aqua color. So go ahead and do your chain 5. Okay, double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. And in the next 2 chains. Okay, and now we are ready to flip. Okay, so remember we're flipping this part of our work up. Okay, so flip it up. As you can see, all my bobbins stayed where they're supposed to. Nobody is tangled up with anybody else. And now you can take your bobbins off of your work, and that just gets them out of the way so you can see what you're doing. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to do 1 more of the aqua color. Okay, and now what we need to do is we need to do 2 gray, and then we're going to switch to white. Now you've got 2 ways you could do this. You could either bring this white yarn and go through in between the stitches of the gray until you reach this square where you're going to add the white, or you can cut this end off and then reattach it once you get here. It's really personal preference, guys, so you know, it's up to you. If you don't like the look of being able to see a little bit of where you jumped that yarn, and you want it to look more clean, then I would suggest cutting the end and just having 1 more loose end to tie in. So I am going to go ahead and do it that way because that's my preference. Again, try it both ways and see which way you like better. But now we need to go ahead and grab our another gray bobbin. Okay, we're coming in from the back to the front, making our loop around the hook, pull it to the back, and then pull it through the blue. We're going to crochet doing our 2 chain and then our 3 double crochets around that tail to secure it, to begin securing it. You are going to have to tie in the loose ends later, and you're going to really want to weave it in because there, like I said, there's no knots. So weaving it in is the way you create a sort of a knot in between all the stitching. Okay, so we've got 1 gray. Now we're going to go ahead and do 1 more gray. So I come in from the front since it's not a color change. Okay, so we've done 2. Now we grab that white thread again, and we're going to do another color change since I decided to clip the end off. Okay, we went in from the back to the front, we pulled the loop over our hook, and we pulled it to the back and through the gray. Now we can do our chain 2 and our 3 double crochets around the tail. Okay, pull your tail to the back. So we've done our 1 white. The next is going to be a pink one. Okay, so, all right. So let's go ahead and get our pink yarn. from the back to the front with our loop. Oops, come on, pink yarn. Pull it to the back and through the white loop. Pull the white yarn tight. Drop your tail of pink. Do your chain 2 and your 3 double crochets around that tail. I think the hardest part is just making sure you keep your yarn from getting tangled. So the bobbins definitely help with that. It's not an exact science, but it does help for sure. Okay, so we've done our pink. The next color we're going to need is white. We're going to do 4 whites, okay? So you have a bobbin attached up here. So this is the bobbin color we're going to use now, okay? So pull it snug, okay? We're going to go in from the back to the front. And since, okay, this is the only time when you don't have to do that weird pull the yarn to the front or the back and then, you know, I know that's frustrating, but I'm telling you it looks better. This is the only time. So if you are going in to the square that's just below where the yarn is ending, all you have to do is still go from the back to the front, but just grab the yarn that's there because it's right next to it. It's not having to travel, okay? You're not having to make it travel up a step. So it's right there. I've already gone ahead and yarned it over, pulled it to the back, and pulled it through the pink. So now I'm going to do my chain 2, and I'm going to do 3 double crochets in that same space. So now I am working with the white. And the pink, it's just a one-off square, so you can cut the thread off on the pink one. You're not going to need it, and then you'll just have those 2 ends to tie into that one square later on. So anytime you don't need a thread, it's good to just clip it off if you know that you're not going to need it, because it can just get tangled. And the bobbins hop around and they try to tangle amongst themselves, as you can see, which we don't want. So try to keep them as tidy as you can. Okay, so this one we are going to do 3 more, and I am also running out of yarn on my bobbin. And this happens, so that's why you try to make extras, or you can always make a new one up if you need to partway through your project. Okay, so mine is already this little tail, so I need to connect a new bobbin. So I'm going to get rid of the old one, grab a new one, and this doesn't matter if you go front to back or back to front because it is the same color, but just for the sake of being consistent, I'm going to go ahead and do the back to the front like I do when I do my color changes. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 white squares. We're going to next do A2. So we're going to finish off this row by doing 2 of the blue here on the end. Okay, so I'm going to pull it snug. So see how these squares are next to each other? My thread has to jump high, right? So it's got to jump up onto the top of that stair. So that's why I bring it to the back and I do that weird thing that we do. So I go hook back to front, yarn over from the back, then you pull it through the front to the back and through the white. Okay, and that makes a really nice and clean color change. Do your chain 2. 3 double crochets. Okay, and you're going to do 1 more blue on this last stair of this row. You'll hear me call them stairs sometimes because I think it looks like you're going up steps. So just makes it easier for those of you that are visual. Okay. So you can see we've got the nose and the mouth starting, we've got some of the spotting on the cat, and we've got our nice pretty blue in the background. Okay, so as you go, you might want to check off where you are so that you don't forget. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. We just finished row 12, so now we're on row 13, and row 13 starts with A3. So let's go ahead and start. We do our 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 more, 5. Double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. double crochet in the next 2 chains. Okay, and we're ready to flip our piece. Again, if you flipped it now, you're going to twist all that yarn. So get your bobbins clipped to your work before you flip. I know this is tedious, but I'm telling you, this is the best way I have found to keep them together. And actually, this gray yarn you don't need anymore. So as you can see, I'm going to go ahead and clip that off. Anything that you don't need or you can't pull it up, if I tried to pull that up, I would leave big ugly lines, okay? So anything you don't need as you're working, you want to go ahead and cut it off and just leave the tail so that you're only working with the bobbins that you perhaps will need on the next row. Okay, so now I'm ready to flip. So here we go, flipping it up. Okay, now you can undo your bobbins again. Oops, there we go. All right, try to keep your tails down so they don't get in the way. And we're going to do 2 more of the aqua color. Okay, so we've got our 3 blue squares here. So the next part is to do 2 white. Okay, so again, we're right next door. So we need to pull the yarn to the back, pull our hook from the back to the front, yarn over from the back, okay, and pull it through the 2 loops. Chain 2, double crochet 3 times, so our stitches never change. The only thing that's a little tricky is sometimes doing the color changes, and then the frustrating part of trying to clip all the bobbins and then flip it, but it is all about the same. Okay, so we've done 2 whites. The next is X, which is the one I use for black. Okay, so I got my black bobbin here. Okay, back to the front, make your loop, yarn over, and then pull through those last 2 loops. All right, do your chain 2 and your 3 double crochets around the tail. Okay, you're only doing 1 black, and then you're going back to the white. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to take the yarn here and I'm going to bring it forward here. It doesn't have to jump too far, and it's not going to show going from this direction. Okay, so I like to keep this pretty tight because it loosens as you go, and you don't want there to be any gaps, and you don't want to see that thread. So right now you can still see it, but we're going to hide it between our stitching. Okay, so we're going to chain 2, do your double crochets around your yarn that you just pulled forward. Okay, now you're jumping up to the pink one. Make sure that you keep this yarn in the middle so that you still don't see it, okay? Do you see how it's going to be in the middle, okay? So we're doing our slip stitch to connect it to the pink. And now we're going to do our chain 2 and our 3 double crochets, and this finishes off hiding that white thread that allowed you to jump that color back up the line, okay? So as you can see, you can't really see it. It looks good. There's a little tiny line there, so again, if that bothers you, you can always get another bobbin, or you could have cut this one and then used that one. It's really up to you. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. It just depends on if I think I'm going to see it or not. I don't think that that's very noticeable though. Okay, so the next part is another X. Okay, now with the X one, this is the only row that you're going to need it. So you may as well just cut off the black yarn from the one eye, jump it over to the other side, and connect it as a new color. So back to front, do your loop, pull your loop to the back, and then pull it through the white. Drop your tail and do your chain 2 and your 3 double crochets. This is the other eye of the kitty cat. Okay. And that's all you're going to need, that black. So feel free to cut that off and get the bobbin out of the way. Okay, our next thing is going to be 2 grays. So again, the gray was right next door, so we're going to pull it to the back, come from the back to the front, yarn over from the back, and then pull it through those last 2 loops. Okay, do our chain 2 and our 3 double crochets. And then after the gray, we are going to do another color change and go back to our aqua color. Okay, they're right next door, so I'm going to do that. Yarn to the back, hook to the front, from the back, hold it through the loops, chain 2, and do your 3 double crochets. Okay, we're going to do the last one with aqua, and then we will have finished row 13. Okay, that's row 13 done. So now we've got the nose and the 2 eyes, and we are going to do row 14. Okay, row 14 starts off with a white. So since it starts off with white, what we need to do is we need to grab a new bobbin. Okay, so what I do is I always look at the full row, and I see if I don't have any extra bobbins, I see if I'm going to not need one of the ones that's already connected. In this case, you need this first white one, but what you don't need is this second one. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this one. Okay, and I'm going to bring it over here because I'm going to need it to start this next row. Okay, so we finished the last row. Now we're going to go ahead and do our chains using only the white. Pull that blue yarn nice and tight. Do your chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the third chain from the hook, do your double crochets. Okay, and you're going to have to keep pulling these tight to make sure they don't try to run off. There we go. Pull them tight. You pull them tight until you can weave them in, and then you'll be able to keep them nice and snug inside the work. Okay, so what we're making here is we're starting on the tail. So let's go ahead and connect our bobbins again. All right, we've connected our bobbins. We're going to flip our work up, and then pull your bobbins out. Get them out of the way. Okay. And again, pull your tails down. You can, at any point, start weaving those in. If they bother you and it gets a little out of control with those loose ends, you can always take a break from the stitches and tie them in. And I'm going to do that pretty soon, but not just yet. Okay, so now that we've done our one white, we need to go ahead and switch back to the aqua color. So I'm going to go ahead and, since the aqua color is in the back, I'm going to pull it to the front. I'm going to go from the back to the front with my hook and pull it from the front now to the back. Do you see that? Okay, and then again through that white. Pull it tight. Okay, okay, and look at that. There's no, you don't see the color change there. You don't see any big loops or any extra yarn there. It looks really nice, okay? So now we're going to go ahead and do 2 aquas. Okay, finished our 2 aquas. The next step is to do 3 grays. Okay, so again, they're next to each other, so pull the yarn to the back, hook from the back to the front, yarn over from the back, and pull it through the 2 loops. Okay, now we're doing our chain 2, our 3 double crochets, and we're going to do this for 3 squares, 3 gray squares. Okay, and the next thing we need to do is 5 whites. This is why you were able to cut off the other white thread. It's because this one is going to get you all the way to the end of the cat. Okay, so since they're next to each other, I'm putting my yarn at the back, my hook from back to front, yarning over from the back, and pulling through both the white and the gray. Okay, now I'll do my chain and my 3 double crochets, and I'm going to continue on with the white. Again, we're going to do 5 whites. Okay, we've done our 5 whites. Now we're going to go ahead and do 3 of the aqua colors. So they're next to each other, pull the yarn to the back, hook from back to front, yarn over from the back, and pull towards the back and through the white loop, and go ahead and do your chain 2. And with the aqua, we're going to finish off the row. Okay, so now we are finished with row 14. We're going to start row 15, and the first step is to do 4 aqua squares. So I've already pinned my bobbins. I'm going to go ahead and do my chain, so since we're still increasing, okay, and do your double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. Oops. And in the next 2 chains, getting ready to flip the piece so that we can begin going up the row again. Okay. Okay, so I swivel it around here and flip. Okay. Again, pull away your bobbins, pull your tails down. Okay. Go ahead and do 3 more squares in the aqua color. Okay, so we've done 1, 2, 3, 4 of the aqua squares. We're going to do 5 of the white. So since they're next to each other, again, pull the yarn to the back, hook from the back to the front, yarn over, pull to the back, and pull through the blue thread as well. Chain 2 and do your 3 double crochets. So now we're, whoops, here we go. Now we're working with our white for 5 squares. Okay, we've done our 5 white squares. Next, we're going to go ahead and do 2 gray. So since they're next door, bring the yarn to the back, hook to the front from the back, and pull through. Okay, finished our 2 gray squares. Next, we need to do 2 of the aqua squares. So since we're up high already, you can keep it in the front. You're going to go from the back to the front, yarn over, and then pull it through to the back and through the last of the gray loop. Chain 2 and do your 3 double crochets. Okay, so that's 1. And we're going to do another. And then after this, we're going to go ahead and switch back to the white because we're going to continue working on that tail. Okay, so there's our 2. Now we grab our white. It's already in the front, but we're going up the ladder so it can stay there. Okay, yarn over from the front, pull to the back. Oops. And then through that blue, pull the blue tight, and then go ahead and do your chain 2 and finish off this row with white. 2 white squares. Okay, so the row 16 starts with aqua. Okay, so we need to attach another aqua bobbin. So at this time you should have 3. This is going to be our 3rd aqua bobbin connected to our piece. Okay, so go ahead and pull the loop through, and then tighten the white, drop the tail of the blue, and chain 5, 3, 4, 5. Do your 3 double crochets starting in the 3rd chain from the hook. Okay, now we're ready for the flip. Go ahead and pin your white one so that it stays where you need it to. Okay, and flip your work. Unpin your bobbins and pull your tails down. Okay. Next is going to be 2 white. So we need to go back to our white. So go ahead and bring it from the front to the back, hook from back to front, yarn over from the back, and pull the loop to the back and then through the blue loop. Okay? Now we've got our white. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do 2 whites. Okay? So after 2 white squares, we're going to go back and do 1 aqua. So pull the yarn to the back, hook from back to front, doing your color change. Okay, after this, you're going to do 1 gray. So get your gray yarn, hook from back to front, yarn over, pull to the back, and pull through the last loop on your hook. Oops. We're doing our 3 double crochets to make our square. Okay. After that, we're going to go ahead and do 4 white. Okay, so we're going to bring our white. We need to bring our white down a step, which is fine. We're going to work it through like we do with the tails. We're going to go ahead and pull it nice and snug, not too tight. You don't want to make it so tight that you can't, it doesn't loosen enough and then you have a pucker. Okay, do your chain 2. Oops. And your 3 double crochets. 1 more. Okay. Now we're going in through the gray yarn. Make sure that that tail or that connecting piece there stays in between your stitches so that you don't see it. I can't stress that enough. That would make a nice big long line going across the face of your kitty cat, so we don't want that. Okay. But we also don't want a ton of extra loose ends if we don't have to have them there, so that's why we do that sometimes. Okay, so we've just finished doing 4 whites. We're going to be working on another gray patch on the kitty cat. So what I notice is that in row 17, we go from having 2 spots that have gray in 1 row to just 1. So this spot is completed. So what you can do if you don't have an extra bobbin of gray is you can cut off the bobbin that you have, because you're not going to need it, of gray, and then that way you can use it for this other spot that we're going to start. Okay, so what I'm going to do, since I don't have a bobbin made, now if you have an extra white bobbin made, then use that. I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it and make myself another tail to tie in so that I can bring my yarn over here. Okay, so now I got to make my gray square. Okay, so we've done 1 gray. Now we're going to do another 1 more gray. So that's also another good reason why you want to have another white bobbin, so you don't want to have to carry it too many steps on the ladder, or then it becomes too noticeable. Okay, so we've got 2 of the gray squares. Now I'm going to grab my white and do 1 white. I'm doing a color change, so I went in from the back again to the front, dropping my tail, doing my 2 chains and my 3 double crochets. Come on, work with me here. Okay, so we've got our white. Bring the tail to the back. We're going to switch over to aqua and finish off the row. We're pulling the yarn to the back this time and doing our interesting, fun type of change around. Okay, so we've got our aqua color on there. We're going to do 4 aquas to finish off the row. Okay, so I've gone ahead and tied in the loose ends, and I have a separate video for that, so the link will be down below in the comments section if you're not sure how to tie in loose ends, but it was getting a little crazy, so I wanted to go ahead and tuck those back. So we just finished row 16, so now we need to begin row 17, and row 17 starts with 5 of the aqua blue color. So let's go ahead and start with our chain 5, double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook and the next 2 chains, and get ready to flip the work. So I've already got my bobbins all attached to my work so that they're not going to get tangled up when we flip it. Okay, so now I'm going to flip it around and then I'm going to flip it up. Okay, so now we can go ahead and pull the bobbins away from our work. Okay, and we're going to continue on using the aqua color and making another 4 more. Okay, so we just finished doing 5 of the aqua color. The next part of row 17 is to do 3 grays. So we're not going to be needing any more of this white that we have attached. So you can go ahead and cut that off and leave your tail and pull the bobbin away. We're going to pick up this gray that we already have going here. Okay, so we're going to go from the back to the front on that white square and then yarn over, pull to the back, and then pull through the blue to connect. Then do your chain 2 and your 3 double crochets in that same slip stitch space that you just did. Okay, and then we're going to do 3 total of the grays, so we need to do 2 more. So go ahead. Okay, so we've gone ahead and we've done 3 of the grays. We're going to do 4 whites. So we don't have a thread connected here, so we need to grab back our white bobbin and pull a tail forward. We're going to go in through the back, pull a loop to the back and through that rest of the gray. Drop the gray tail and the white tail and do your chain 2 and single crochet around the white tail just for this one square. Okay, and then you're going to go ahead and do another 3 more of the white. Okay, so the next part is to do 1 of the aqua color. So we're going to grab the leftover tail here, that's to our blue working yarn, come in through the back of the gray square, yarn over, pull through and pull through the white, pull the white tight, and then do your chain 2, 3 double crochets, okay. So you're only doing 1 of those. Now you're switching back to white. So we're going to do 2 whites. So grab your white yarn, come in from the back, yarn over, pull it through to the back and through your blue hoop, or your blue loop rather, and do your 3 double crochets. And do 1 more white, working on that tail. You're starting to see the kitty cat coming alive here. Okay, so now we need to do 2 of the aqua color and then that will finish off this row, row 17. In through the back, yarn over and pull to the back and through the white loop. And then go ahead and make your last 2 aqua colored squares. Okay, so that finishes off row 17. So we're going to go ahead and start row 18. Row 18 starts with 3 of the aqua colored squares. So let's go ahead and pin our bobbins. Okay, bobbins are pinned, so go ahead and do your chain 5. Three double crochets starting in the 3rd chain from the hook. And we just have another couple, about 3 more rows, including this one, until we're going to start decreasing. So we've almost built up our square to the size that's going to be, and then we'll start our decreases. Okay, so let's spin our work, and then we're going to flip it up. Okay, now pull your bobbins away. Get them out of the way here. Okay, and go ahead and do 2 more of the aqua color. Okay, so we've done 3 aquas. Now we're going to do 1 white. And since we're right next door, we got to pull the yarn to the back, come from the back to the front with our hook, yarn over from the back, pull the loop through to the back and through our blue loop, then do your chain 2 and 3 double crochets. Okay, so the next one is 1 aqua. So we're going to go ahead, and since we're not having to, we're not next to each other here, we don't have to pull the yarn to the back. So we'll just grab the yarn, and you do pull it to the back this way, but you don't have to adjust where it starts. And then you're going to go ahead and do your aqua colored one. Okay, next we're going to do 4 whites. So let's go ahead and pick up our white yarn here. Okay. Okay, so we've gone ahead and made our 4 white squares. Next we need to go ahead and do 4 of the gray. So we're going to pick up our gray. And then go ahead and you do 4 of the grays. Okay, so you've done 4 gray squares. Now we're going to finish off row 18 by doing 5 of the aqua blue. Okay, pull your yarn to the back, come in from the back with your hook, yarn over, and pull through to the back, through your loop, just like we've been doing when we do our color changes, and they're right next to each other. I hope by now it's become second nature. Okay, so we've done our 5 aquas. Go ahead and tie up your bobbins here and pin them to your work. Okay, so row 19 starts with 6 of the aqua colors. So we're going to keep going with the blue, doing our chain, our 3 double crochets starting in the 3rd chain from the hook. Okay, now we need to spin our work, flip it up. Okay, go ahead and do another 5 more of the aqua colors. Okay, so we've gone ahead and done our 6 of the aqua color squares. Now we need to do 2 gray squares. So pick up your gray, yarn to the back, and connect. Okay, we've done 2 gray squares. Now we're going to go ahead and pick up the aqua color. So you need to get another bobbin, because what we're going to start doing now is creating the separation between the ears. So you need another bobbin of aqua. You're going to go ahead and come in through the back, get your loop on your hook, and then pull it through to the back and through the loop that was on your hook to connect. Okay, so now go ahead and do your double crochets, your chain 2 and your double crochets around that tail to secure, or to begin securing. Oops. Let's try that again. Here we go. Okay, put your tail to the back. Okay. Okay, what I wanted to do, I'm not speeding up the video here because you need to do one more of your aqua color. There we go, sorry. We need to do one more of your aqua color, but then you're going to need this white. So you don't want to, on the last blue one, you want to have to carry that white up so that you'll have it when you need it after that last blue one. So just lay it across the top of the white square that you're going to work your blue into. Okay, now come in from the front to the back with your blue, trapping the white tail inside and between, and do your chain 2 in blue, do your 3 double crochets. Okay, and then now drop your blue, and we're going to go ahead and switch back to white. We're going to do 2 of the whites. Okay, so what you want to do is bring your yarn to the front, come in through the back with your hook. Oops. Okay, yarn over, and then pull it through to the back and through the blue hook, through the blue loop, excuse me. Okay, chain 2, 3 double crochets with your white. You've left your blue behind now. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and do another white, one more. Okay, so we've done our 2 white squares. So now we need to go ahead and do one of the aqua color. So you're going to grab your aqua colored yarn, come in from the back, yarn over, and pull it through. Do your 1 aqua, and then we're going to switch back to white. Okay, there's our 1 aqua color. We're going to switch back to our white for just 1 square. Okay, and it's nice when you have all these bobbins already on there because you just pick them up. They're right where you left off from the prior row. Most of the time, not always. Sometimes there's more color changes and more tails to tie in, but okay, so we've done our white. Now we're going to switch back to our aqua color. It's waiting here for us. And we're going to finish off the row doing the aqua color. So you're going to make 4 aqua colored squares. Okay, so we've just finished out. This is row 19. We're going to go ahead and do row 20, and then after row 20 we can begin decreasing. So tie back up your bobbins and get ready to do your flip. Okay, we're going to start on row 20, so we need to do 4 of the aqua color. So we're going to do our chain 5, double crochets starting in the 3rd chain from the hook, 3 of them, making our first square. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and swivel our project and then flip it. Okay, now you can take your bobbins away. Okay, go ahead and do 3 more of the aqua colored squares. Okay, we've done our 4 aqua colored squares. We're going to go and do 1 white. So pick up your white yarn here. Okay, just 1. Okay, now we're going to go switch back and do 1 aqua color. Coming in from the back to do our color change. So we're starting to do the curl on the tail. That's what this is right here. Okay. Next, we're going to go ahead and switch back to white and do 2 white. Coming in from the back for our color change. Okay, now that we've done 2 whites, we're going to switch over to our aqua color and we're going to do 4 aqua. Okay, we've done our 4 aqua color squares. We're going to switch back to gray and do 2 gray. So bring your yarn to the back, hook from back to front, yarn over, and then pull through those 2 loops. And go ahead and do 2 grays. Okay, we've gone ahead and done 2 grays, so now we're going to switch back to the aqua color and we're going to finish off the row making 6 aqua squares. So pull your yarn to the back, hook from back to front, yarn over from the back, pull through, and then pull through your gray loop. And then we'll come back here at the end and I'll show you how to do the decreasing. Okay, you guys, I just wanted to show you that something that can happen sometimes. I ran out of yarn here right as I was needing to do one more square and then come back up doing more aqua. So I thought I wouldn't need to use more of this ball, so instead of making more of the bobbins, I just attached the ball, but I do need more of this. And since I'm using my scrap yarn up for this, what I'm going to do is just cut this one off, and then when I come back here, I will pick up a new one again. So I just wanted to show you that might happen sometimes if you don't make enough bobbins as you're going. That's the only issue with bobbins, is that sometimes you misgauge how many you're going to need, and if you attach the main ball of yarn like I did, then you may end up having to cut it off at some point and fix it by making another bobbin. Okay, so now I have my bobbin and I still have my ball, so I'm going to go ahead and finish off this row. Okay, I've gone ahead and finished row 20 with the last of the 6 acrylic squares. So now we're going to begin decreasing, and our rows are going to get smaller and smaller and smaller until we reach the other corner of the square. So from here on out, it's going to get faster as we work because we're going to be using less color changes for this particular square. Okay, so what you want to do once you've finished the last square in the last row prior to your decrease, you want to go ahead and chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you flip your work like you would normally. But instead of chaining 5 and making another square, you've only chained 3. You're going to go back into the prior square from the last row, do a slip stitch, okay? Now you're going to chain 2, and you're going to go ahead and do 3 double crochets into that last stitch. So in essence, if you think about it, you're doing the 3 chain, connecting it, and then you're doing the 2 chains. So 3 plus 2, there's your 5, but instead of working into a new chain of 5, you're actually working back up the prior row, and then you're going to go back up to the other end and do the same, okay? So now that you've connected it, you can see here, see, it doesn't continue on, it keeps going back up now. So now we've made our corner here, and we're going to keep going back up the row, okay? So we're going to do 5 more of the aqua colors. Okay, I've gone ahead and done 6 of the aqua colored squares. Next we're going to go ahead and do 1 of the gray. So let's switch our yarns. Yarn to the back, hook from back to front, yarn over, and then pull through. Do your chain 2, 3 double crochets to make your square. And after this gray one, we're going to go ahead and do 5, we're going to do 5 of the aqua color, okay? So pick up your aqua yarn. This is where I made that boo-boo, right? I didn't have enough bobbins, so I need to pick up a new thread. It's just one more loose end to tie in, that's all. Okay, so I'm picking up another thread. You should already have one there. And we're going to go ahead and come back after you have done 5 aqua colored squares. Okay, so we've done our 5 aqua colored squares. So next we're going to go ahead and do 1 white. And so yarn to the back, hook from back to front, and yarn over, pull through, and make your 1 white square. Okay, after the white, you're going to go ahead and do 1 of the aqua color. So pick up your aqua yarn, do your color change, and make your square. Okay, after the aqua colored one, we're going to do another white, working on that tail. So do your color change and your white square. Okay, and now you're going to go ahead and switch back to your aqua and finish off the row, making only 4 of the aqua colored squares. And we'll come back at the end and do another decrease. Okay, so we're at the end. As you can see, we are right alongside the last stitch from the prior row on this end, okay? See that? Okay, so now what you want to do is slip stitch into the last square from the prior row, and instead of building up 5, we're going to go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to flip our work, and I've already got my bobbins attached, so it makes it easier for me. Okay, so now you have your chain. You want to go ahead and do your slip stitch into the step up here. You're just working back up the side. Do another chain 2 just like you would normally, and do your 3 double crochets. And once again, you've decreased. You haven't added any more stitches to this row. Okay, so now that you've done that, you're going to continue on with 2 more of the aqua color. Okay, so we've done our 3 aqua colored squares. We're going to do a white next. So go ahead and do your color change. Okay, now we're going to switch over to the aqua color, and we're going to do 1 of the aquas. So you did your color change, now go ahead and make your square. Okay, so you've done that. Now we're going to go ahead and switch back to the white and do 1 white square. This should finish off our ear, I believe. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and switch back to the aqua color, and we're going to do 6 of the aqua color. So come on back once you've got your 6 aqua squares. Okay, we've done our 6 aqua color. Now we're going to go ahead and switch back to gray for 1 square. So yarn to the back. Make sure every time that you pull the yarn tight so that you're not leaving gaps. Okay, yarn over from the back. Okay, chain 2, and get your double crochets in there. Okay, now we're going to switch back to the aqua color and finish off the row. Yarn to the back, hook from back to front. Okay, and you're going to finish off the row with the aqua color by making 5 aqua colored squares. Okay, come back when you're finished with that. Okay, so we've finished doing our 5 aqua colored squares, and we need to go ahead and do another decrease. Okay, so we're going to keep working back up to finish the other corner here. We don't want to add any more, so what we're going to do is do our slip stitch to connect, chain 3, and then we're going to go ahead and do our slip stitch into the prior square. So we do need to flip the entire piece, so in order to do that, I've already connected them now, but I'm going to go ahead and connect my bobbins before I flip. Okay, I'm ready to flip. Alright, perfect. So now we've already done our chain 3 and our connecting slip stitch. So now we're going to build up starting for the next row. So do your chain 2 and your double crochets, 3 of them, to make your first square. And then after that, you're going to be doing 13 of the aqua color. So we finished the ears of the cat. So you can go ahead and cut off, I'll do that now. you can go ahead and cut off the gray yarn that you'll tie that one in later, and you're also going to cut off the white yarn that was connected just to the ear. So leave the one for the tail still going. Okay? And also too, since you're done with the ear here, you're not going to need this extra aqua colored yarn. So you're just going to have this nice big chunk of aqua here. So you can also go ahead and cut this one off as well. Okay? Alright, so you've got some more tails that we'll deal with later. Go ahead and finish your aqua color. Again, we're doing 13, so do another 12 more, and I'll see you at the end of that. Okay, so once you finish your 13 of the aqua color, you come across another aqua tail. So go ahead and cut that one off. You don't need that either. Okay, so now you should only have 3 bobbins attached to your work. So we're going to go ahead and switch to white, and we're just going to do 1. Okay, so do your color change, make your white square. Okay, now switch back to your aqua color here, and we're going to finish off the end of this row, and you're going to be doing 3 of the aqua squares. Okay, we finished the 3 aqua squares. We're at the end of the row again, so we're going to do another of the decreases. So we're going to go in and do our slip stitch to connect, chain 3, flip our work, and do a slip stitch into the prior row's last square to connect, chain 2, and then do 3 double crochets into that same slip stitch space. And that makes our first square that's on row 24. After this 1 aqua square, we're going to do 1 more aqua square before we switch colors. Okay? We've done 2 aqua squares. Now we're going to do 5 white squares. Okay, so switch to your white. And this is going to be the hook part of the tail that's coming across here. What I want to bring your attention is that you have this aqua colored thread. Okay, so we're going to be building quite a few white squares. You are welcome to carry this through if you want. It's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and just snip it off and then pick it up again once I get back to needing it. Totally personal preference, again. I've seen people do it both ways. I tend to prefer to just have an extra tail to tie in if I'm having to jump too many squares like that. But that's all up to you. Just make sure that if you do carry it on that you work your stitching around that tail to try to hide it as best as you can. Okay, we finished 5 white squares. Since I elected to go ahead and snip that end off, I need to pick up some more of my aqua color. We're going to be switching back, and we're going to be doing 9 aqua squares. Okay, so we've just finished our 9 aqua squares. We need to go ahead and do another connect and another decrease, and so we can start on the next row. So go ahead and tie up your bobbins and get ready to flip. Okay, do your slip stitch to connect to the last square in the prior row. Do your chain 3 and now flip. Okay, do your slip stitch to connect it to the square, chain 2, and 3 double crochets to make your first square for the next row. We are beginning row 25, which starts off with 8 aqua colored squares. So go ahead and make your 8 aqua squares, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we've gone ahead and finished our 8 aqua color squares, we need to switch to white, and we're going to make 5 white squares. Do your color change, chain 2, 3 double crochets, and do your 5 whites. Come back when you're finished with those. Okay, we finished 5 white squares. Now we're going to go ahead and switch back to the aqua color for just the last 2 squares of this row. So do your color change and chain 2, 3 double crochets, and do that same thing, doing that for 2 total squares. Okay, so we finished that row. We need to connect it to the prior row. Do your slip stitch, chain 3, flip your work, slip stitch into the prior square. So now you've worked up your edge there. Do your chain 2 and your 3 double crochets into that slip stitch space. Okay, so that's the first square. Now we're going to go ahead and keep going. What you want to do is do 1 more aqua color. Let's pull our bobbins out so that they're out of the way. Okay, 1 more aqua. Okay, and now we're switching to white. We are just going to be doing 2 whites. So yarn to the back, put your hook in from back to front, yarn over. So you've done your color change, do your chain 2 and your double crochets. Okay, so you finished that. The next step is to go ahead and do 1 aqua square, and then you're going to go back to the white and then back to the aqua, okay? So depends how you want to do this. If you want to add different bobbins, you can do that if you've got them. You can always carry yarn through. Whatever's easier for you at this point. I am going to go ahead and just attach other bobbins because I have some over here. So, okay, so let's go ahead and get our aqua color. So I got another bobbin. Okay. Okay. Now that you've done 1 aqua, we're going to go back and do 2 more white. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up the white bobbin. And do my color change. Oops. Go pull the yarn tight always. Drop the tail, chain 2, and double crochet around the tail. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do 2 of the white squares. Okay, I've done my 2 white squares. So the tail is kind of doing a little hook here. And we need to switch back to our aqua color. So yarn to the back, hook from back to front, yarn over from the back, and go through to the back and through your loop. Okay. All right, so we've done 1 aqua square. Go ahead and do 6 more, and then I'll see you at the end of this row. Okay, I finished that row. I'm going to pin all my bobbins because we're going to do our decrease and flip. Okay. All right, so go ahead and do your slip stitch to connect to the very end. Chain 3, flip your work, slip stitch to connect, chain 2, 3 double crochets in that same slip stitch area. Or if you've seen my other videos, I sometimes call it a wiggle space. That's where your hook goes in easily. Okay, so we finished that. We're going to go ahead and do 6 more. So you need a total of 7 of the aqua color, okay? So I will see you at the end of that 7 aqua squares. Okay, so I've done 7 of the aqua colored squares. We're going to go ahead and do 1 white. So let's do our color change. Put your yarn to the back, hook from back to front, yarn over, pull through to the back and through the blue loop, chain 2, double crochet 3 times. Okay. All right. And now what you want to do is finish off the row using your aqua color. So you're going to need this tail that's connected here, but you're not going to need the other 2 tails, okay? So you can go ahead and cut those off, and we'll leave those ends in later. Okay, I always like to pull them snug. All right, go ahead and connect your aqua color and drop your white. Oops, I want to go ahead and pull the white tight, just keep them nice and snug. Chain 2 and do your double crochets, and go ahead and finish off this row with your aqua color. Okay, so we finished that row doing the last of it, which was 5 aqua color squares. We're going to do our slip stitch to connect, chain 3. I've already attached my bobbins. Now I'm going to flip my work, do a slip snitch. Sorry guys, do a slip stitch to connect, do chain 2 and double crochet 3 in that slip stitch space, or slip snitch. You can't crack yourself up, who can you crack up, right? Okay, so we want to go ahead and we're going to do 5 of the aqua color, so do 4 more. Okay, we've done our 5 of the aqua color. We're going to go ahead and do 1 white. So pick up your white yarn, yarn to the back, hook from back to front. Okay, and we're going to switch to our aqua color again. This time we're going to do 6 to finish off the row. So yarn to the back, hook from back to front, yarn over, and then pull through. Okay, so we've finished this row. Let's tie up our bobbins. Okay, go ahead and do your slip stitch to connect to the last row, chain 3, flip your work, slip stitch in the square above here, chain 2, and your 3 double crochets. Okay, this is going to be the last row where we're doing any kind of color changing, and then after that it's just going to be aqua color all the way to the end. So let's go ahead and continue on. We're doing 6 aqua color. Okay, we've done our 6 of the aqua color. We're going to go ahead and switch over to white, and we're just going to do 1 white square. This finishes off the little white tail from the kitty cat. More. Okay. All right, so we are done with the white. So go ahead and cut that end. You're going to switch back over to your aqua color, put the aqua yarn to the back, from the back to the front with the hook, and then pull through. Okay, and we are going to go ahead and finish off this row. You're going to be doing 4 aqua colored squares. Okay, I've gone ahead and finished that row. Let's do our slip stitch to connect and end the row. Chain 3, flip our work, and at this point if you have any other tails that are attached to bobbins, you want to go ahead and cut those off. So you should only have 1 left. That's the one attached to your working yarn. Flip your work. Okay. Slip stitch in the one above, do your chain 2 and 3 double crochets in the first square of the row. This is going to be beginning row 30, okay? And from 30 all the way till the end, it's going to be all this background color, okay, this aqua color. So I think we've done enough of the decreasing so that you should know by now how to work your way and to finish this corner. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to the end and let you guys go ahead and finish doing the aqua squares on your own of the PeekAMew picture, okay? I'll meet you back in just a sec. Okay, so we've gone ahead and finished doing the rest of the corner, the last corner, and we're here at the end. And in order to make this last corner, what you want to do is do your slip stitch, okay? But if you see, it doesn't look pointed, right? The corner doesn't quite look right. So you need to do your chain 3 one last time, okay? Flip your work and do your final slip stitch. And that is what creates that corner, so that it's nice and pointed like the rest of them, okay? So what I'm going to have you do is cut your yarn, pull the thread through the loop and pull tight, okay? That's one more loose end to tie in. Go ahead and take the time now to tie in any loose ends that you have left over, okay? And then we'll come back and we'll do the border that goes around the square. Okay guys, so we've gone ahead and tied in all the loose ends, as you can see, on both sides. They are all tied in, and look how cute the kitty cat came out. Oh, I love it.